going on, everybody? Mallet here. How you guys doing today? For those who are new, welcome. Or maybe you guys just forgot about it. We did a headphone buyer's guide like quite a long time ago that was supposed to help you guys pick and choose a new pair of headphones with a little more information under your belt. Well, it turns out we still have a lot of comments and questions in every headphone review we make, so we decided to update the buyer's guide. But this time, we're gonna make it sort of a series and cover one specific topic, two at the most, per episode. And today we're going to be talking about open and closed back headphones. The first step towards breaking the chains and liberating ourselves from the tyranny of the usual suspects, brands. Quickly though, before we jump in, I'd like to thank Drop for providing the GMR54X headphone that I'll be using to illustrate a couple of points in today's video, as well as actually making today's video possible. Thanks guys. Alright, now sit back, relax, and let's do this, because it's really not that complicated. So, you want to buy a new pair of headphones, and here we're talking about over-ear headphones, alright? The bigger ones that go around your ear entirely, those ones. Well, you're probably going to be looking for the brands that you are already accustomed to, and you've probably even owned a couple of headphones from them in the past. And that's alright, there's nothing wrong with that, it's fine. It's just that most mainstream brands deal in the closed back market, and perhaps it's time to just broaden your horizons. So what are open and closed back headphones? Well, to demonstrate, I'll be using these, the GMR54X and the HD58X Jubilees. Now, in closed back headphones like the 54X here, the outer side of the ear cups, this part, is usually completely sealed off, which means that sound it produces can only come out of the ear cup through, one direction, meaning through your skull. A benefit of this design and implementation is the ability of these headphones to isolate you from your environment, which means that if you're somewhere that's pretty noisy or there's a bunch of people around you, both sound won't be leaking out or in, so you won't be annoying everybody else, and the actual noise from wherever you are aren't going to interfere with what you're listening to. And, of course, the materials of the ear pads, these cushions right here, will also help in creating that seal that will prevent sound from leaking. And headphones designed in this way that are looking for that isolation will also usually have a little bit of a snugger fit. It's going to be a tighter fit. In headphone terms, they will have more clamping force. On open back headphones like the Jubilees, the outside of the ear cups is actually opened. You can see a grill there, but the perforations, the holes, are real. Unless you're using actual transparent materials to close off your headphones, the only way you're going to be able to see a driver like this or shine a light through it or anything of the sort is if you're using an open back headphone. There is no see-through plastic or glass actually closing it off, which means that when the drivers inside the ear cups, which are the things that actually produces the sound, start working, sound can actually exit one of two ways, either through your head or spilling out into the outside. Now relax, it's not like you'll have two speakers glued to the side of your head and pointing outwards, it's not like that, so chill. Fine, that's great. But what does all that change in my listening experience? Well, actually, there are three main factors here. One, noise isolation, and this one we basically already covered. Second, there's sound signature, and not that this is a rule or anything, but closed back headphones tend to be a tad more enthusiastic in the bass department, especially when we're talking about the more mainstream brands. Like Beats, for example, like those guys up there, they are really bassy. Now, not to say that bass or low end is bad, but the closed nature of these headphones means that the low end gets an extra punch to it. It may be important for the richness of the sound, but too much of it can actually mess up the detail on the mid-range and the higher tones. In headphone terms, it can make the rest of the sound feel a little muddy, as if you were driving through fog instead of a clear horizon. Does that make any sense? Third, and actually most important one, is Soundstage. Now, think of an actual stage, like a theater, and there are a bunch of instruments scattered around that are going to be playing music for you. Alright? Now imagine that you are sitting right in the middle of that stage. In real life, if you closed your eyes in that situation, you could potentially tell pretty precisely where each sound is coming from and, to a certain extent, how far away that source is from you. That's just how we usually process sound. Now, Soundstage is sort of an illusion from headphones. It's their way of trying to mimic that, real physical stage we're in. In the case of closed-back headphones, they are going to be putting you into a room that's absolutely devoid of anything other than the sound of instruments. There's no noise, no wind, no environmental anything. It's almost like a vacuum. So yes, it is probably the closest you would ever get to the pure sound of the recording, but that's also not how we naturally hear stuff, right? And secondly, closed-back headphones also tend to have narrow sound stages, which means that even if they can show you that sound is coming from your left or your right, they're not going to do as great of a job when trying to tell you that it's not just to your right, but how far from you to the right. Now that to you might be sort of a given since all headphones are trying to mimic that soundstage, but the actual drivers are what, like an inch away from your ears? But in open-back headphones, that's actually a little different. For one, the fact that it mixes in environmental noise with what you're listening to because it allows that noise bleed, it means that your listening experience tends to also be more natural. And when it comes to soundstage on open-back headphones, they're usually much wider, which means that it doesn't only tell you that something is coming from your left, but far away to the left. And it does also a better job separating instruments, where you can actually tell something is far away to the left, but there's another instrument closer to you on that same direction. And as you climb up the ladder to the highest levels of headphones, you start to see stuff that can even tell you an instrument is probably a bit below you or above, or maybe in front or behind you. And that is by no means easy to do, hence why it's only at the highest levels, and most of these superb headphones are open back. Now there are some notable exceptions, and they are notable mainly in the first place because they are really expensive. So because closed-back headphones can't really work with that separation between instruments and all that width within the soundstage, instruments also tend to seem like they're closer to each other and sometimes even a little overlapped, which isn't the best of scenarios. Now, all of this may seem pointless to you guys since listening to music is listening to music. But once you start listening to stuff through a good open-back headphone and you get used to that level of intimacy, songs you've known forever get a new depth to them, and from there it's really hard to go back. And these guys especially are amongst the few best in class that you can actually grab for yourselves without breaking the bank that will definitely spoil you for life. Now, obviously, open headphones aren't meant to be used in environments with too much noise or too many people that can get annoyed or annoy you. And closed pairs don't have that problem. The trade-off is the fact that they leave something to be desired because of that soundstage and the less natural listening experience. But for listening at home or in a place where you know you won't bother anyone, open-back headphones are absolutely the way to go. And they're also great for those situations where you're at home alone or at the office and you don't want to be completely isolated from anything else, like someone at the door or someone calling on the phone or anything of the sort. And I personally, since I rarely ever use headphones outside of my home or studio, can go open back, which means I have no reason not to go for the best sounding experience. Now, as I mentioned before, there are loads of different options for open headphones, from stuff that needs external power through amplification to others that you literally can plug into anything and hit play because they're good to go. My daily drivers, headphone of choice and bullseye recommendation for anyone looking for open-back headphones, precisely because of the incredible price to performance they bring, are these guys. The Sennheiser HD58X Jubilee from Drop, which are honestly incredible. They sound like headphones that cost way above the $160 of their price tag, and despite being high-end headphones that can and do benefit from using external DACs and amplifiers, they are also easy enough to drive that you could do it even directly from a smartphone with no headphone jack. How, you ask? Well, dongles, of course. I have an entire separate video on the 58X. If you guys would like to dig a little deeper, you can find the link there. But the gist of it is, if you don't break them, these will probably be the last headphones you ever buy. Unless you start a collection, or you're in an airplane, you know, engine noises and all that stuff. That can be extremely annoying. So yes, for those situations, active noise cancelling headphones, or maybe just an ear plug to protect yourself, or I'm down with that. Now, don't just take my word for it, obviously. There's a link down below in the description for the 58X Jubilees, and Drop actually has a 30-day money-back guarantee going on for these babies. So you can basically get them, test them out, experience the awesomeness of the open-back headphone world, and how bonkers good these guys are, all at basically no risk. So go down there and click away to awesomeness. These are actually insane, like certified crazy town. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and that it helped you understand a bit more about open and closed back headphones. But if you're feeling like it as usual, leave any comments, questions, or suggestions down below. Like, subscribe, bell, and all that stuff. Stay tuned for the next episode so that we dig into other aspects of headphones. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.